The Select by Color tool is another selection tool in GIMP. It allows you to select by color. It's very similar to the Fuzzy Selection tool, but whereas the Fuzzy Selection tool would only select colors that were all touching one another to create one contiguous selection, this will select colors across the entire image. So if I were to select this blue, for example, it selects not only this blue, but also this blue and also this blue, despite the fact they're not touching. Let's run through the options real quick. So in normal mode, it makes one selection at a time. It abandons your previous selection with each new selection. In additive mode, it adds the new selection to the previous selection. In subtractive mode, it will subtract whatever you are selecting from the selection. And in the overlap mode, it keeps only that which overlaps between the previously selected and the new selection. The anti-aliasing helps smooth out your curves, so it's a good idea to keep that checked. The feather edges helps give you a soft edge between what is selected and what is not. So if we were to make a selection and we've got this turned up quite a bit and fill it in, we'll have a nice soft edge around it, whereas opposed to if we had it turned off and we made that selection, or I guess we'll make a different selection and filled it in, you'll have a pretty hard edge there. The Select Transparent Areas allows you to use transparency as a criteria for selecting, so you can select transparent areas. The Sample Merged allows you to select across multiple layers, so whereas right now, if we turn this layer on with this extra blue and we select this blue, it will select this blue and this blue, but if the Sample Merged was off, it would not select this blue because it is only selecting on the active layer. So that lets you sample across layers. The Threshold lets you set how much of a difference there needs to be for GIMP to consider them two different colors. So if you turn this up, it will consider, it'll have greater tolerance, and so your selections will be bigger. If you turn it down, it was pretty low when I started here, your selections will be a little bit smaller. The Select By lets you tell GIMP what criteria to use. The default mode is Composite, and that's probably the most intuitive, but you can use these other ones like red, green, blue. These just sample these primary colors. So if we were to select green, for example, and our threshold's pretty low, but we were to click here, it'll actually select this entire square along with all this blue, because green is actually at a value of 0 in all these spots, even though they may look different. We can also select by hue, select by saturation. Again, this purple and this yellow look very different, but in fact, they are the same saturation level. So you can use that if you have a more advanced understanding of color or just want to play around, but the composite mode will probably give you the most intuitive use of the tool. Those are the main features of the Select by Color tool.